What's up, everyone? This is All Killer, No Filler. My name is Cam. I'm filling in for Eric as he is on vacation for the remainder of this year. In this week's episode, we are going to replay one of the most popular episodes that we recorded in 2022. This episode, we have Angela and Spencer who joined us to talk about improving performance and growing your account on TikTok. This one was originally recorded in January, and believe it or not, this is still a very, very relevant episode for a lot of people. We cover topics like importance of trusting and empowering creators, our strategy at Pilot House behind scaling ads from $0 to $4,000 per day, and some of our winning creative trends a year ago. And secret, a lot of these things are still relevant today as we're increasing performance on TikTok for our clients. So whether you're a brand who is looking to grow on TikTok this year, or you're a company who is already advertising on TikTok, I think there's going to be some golden nuggets for everyone in here. So enjoy.
On TikTok, it's just become so aggressively apparent that finding the elements that really work in a TikTok and then finding that winning style is where like the bread and butter of TikTok creative and really unlocking performances, where we'll just see no performance or very little performance during a testing period, and we just throw as many styles as we can, trying to nail down which elements of that creative is working. And then we found that once we have unlocked that, it can be in the span of a week that we go from spending $400 a day just trying to see where we can go, up to $4,000+ a day, just within like a very short amount of time.
Are you ready to grow your audience and revenue? Sendinblue is a multi-channel marketing platform that empowers businesses to create stronger customer relationships. Create personalized emails, captivating SMS campaigns, chat, custom landing pages, quick sign-up forms, automated workflows, and more instantly. Curious to learn more? Sign up today at sendinblue.com/DTC and enter promo code DTC to get 1 month free on a premium plan. Do it all with Sendinblue. Hello and welcome to All Killer, No Filler. I'm Eric Dick. It is Wednesday, and today I am here with Angela and Spencer from our UG team and our TikTok team, respectively. Spencer, I wanted to start with you a little bit. Like, I know the TikTok team is growing. The TikTok client base is growing. People are kind of flooding into TikTok. What are the main reasons that you're seeing more and more advertisers adopt TikTok ads?
Unfortunately, the word's getting out. The word's getting out that TikTok's working. More and more people are seeing that other brands are finding their footing, that there's more case studies that are coming out, and it's just piquing people's interest. And it's kind of something that has just been pushed down brands' throats, just pushed their direction for the past, like year, 2 years that TikTok has been blowing up. And it's just becoming more and more viable, and people are seeing that.
Yeah, it's something where obviously I talk about this all the time, but we're seeing it on the D2C side in terms of user generation. So many of the brands that I talk to on the podcast are coming in talking about seeing good returns from it. I just was reading a piece about CPG, a report that Nielsen did on how CPG brands specifically are seeing great lift from it, both direct to consumer sales, as well as trailing retail sales from the awareness that's generated from the platform. It's kind of a perfect storm. And then the other reason we were mentioning too is just the cost. Like, what from your account views, what sort of cost difference are you seeing in terms of the CPMs on TikTok versus Facebook ads?
Yeah, so it's an amazing. It's amazing that Pilot House just does manage some Facebook and some TikTok on multiple accounts. We get to just directly compare the two, and pretty consistently we're seeing that our CPMs and our costs even more so be half to a third of what it is on Facebook. Just less competition and more people scrolling, more ad placements that people are seeing.
That's interesting. So you said that you're seeing lower CPMs as well as, like, are you seeing lower cost of goods sold? Like, are you seeing actually lower conversion cost, or is it about the same conversion cost when it nets out?
We're definitely needing to look a lot on the tracking that's available to us, and there's just unfortunately so much lost data that we need to start looking layers and layers deeper. Just with iOS 14 coming out on platform, doesn't beat out what we see on platform on like Facebook or something like that. But then it's when we start using our data partners and we can track uh, all the offline conversions, or I should say out of session, off session conversions, that we really start to see the success that TikTok is seeing. And when we're rocking, and TikTok really has its ups and downs, and when we're rocking, we absolutely beat uh, the cost per, you know, the CPA of what's
Yeah.
going on Facebook.
It makes sense that you're going to get more impressions. It's going to be cheaper because it's a newer platform, less adoption, less saturated. And then it really comes down to the creative, right? Like, if you have that many more impressions to make a sale, it really comes down to making, amazing TikTok creative in order to drive the clicks that drive the sales that get you those lower costs per good sold. So Angela, in your sort of experience in the UGC team, what has been sort of your main contribution to these TikTok campaigns? What's worked best?
I think like the most important thing about working with TikTok creators is that brands need to really have trust in the creators they've selected, to know that these creators know what's happening on the platform. They're keeping up to date with the trends, and if they're good, they know how to make the content authentic and relevant to like these conversations that are happening with creators on TikTok. I think like having the hook in the first 3 seconds, using content that's on trend, like using stitches of other content that's trending, and just sort of trying to like pick up on these waves is really important. And brands sort of need to understand that this is different content. It's different content creators than they might have worked with on Facebook and Instagram. These are just sort of like snippets in time of people talking about your brand. It doesn't have to be like your super brand controlled content that you would like put on your website.
I think that's an interesting point, and I'd be interested to know like how I guess when you're running ads, not all the ads you run are going to end up being on your profile. Is that correct, Spencer?
Yeah, and by profile you mean the organic.
The organic brands profile. Do you generally run from brands' organic profiles, or do you run from ad accounts that are not linked to the brand account?
Whenever I speak with new brands coming in, they ask pretty much that exact question, because it is like typically kind of what we've seen on Facebook and Instagram. It's always linking out, maybe not necessarily whitelisting, but at least linked to the organic page. And on TikTok, that's just not the case. So you just like
You
put
can do it, right? You can set up your organic page to put your ads out, but then would the ads show up on your organic TikTok page as well?
If you built them out within ads, no, they don't get posted to your organic, but you can go vice versa, posting it to your organic and then using it as Spark ads.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, on the line of creative there, Spencer, what do you mean by finding a winning style? And once you find a winning style, how closely do you need to stay to it?
I mean, it's the same across Facebook and Instagram, as we know, and on TikTok, it's just become so aggressively apparent that finding the elements that really work in a TikTok and then finding that winning style is where like the bread and butter of TikTok creative and really unlocking performances, where we'll just see no performance or very little performance during a testing period, and we just throw as many styles as we can, trying to nail down which elements of that creative is working. And we found that once we have unlocked that, it can be in the span of a week that we go from spending $400 a day just trying to see where we can go, up to 4+ K a day, just off just within like a very short amount of time. And that's what's been so useful about working with a team like Angela's with the Pilothouse UGC team, is that when we find that creative, it's then like, okay, we're ready to rock. How can we make the most of this kind of content consistently with high quality, or at least just try to get a certain amount of quantity back so that we can keep this train going?
Very cool. When you say winning style, are you talking like how templated can you get it? Because obviously when you reach out to these influencers, you want to be able to give them, we have to balance what Angela was saying versus, letting the creators create versus, having them use this winning style. So how do you balance that essentially, I guess is the question.
Yeah, I mean, you can always continue to test, but it's you can see the same tendency on organic. So I could ask you, Eric, that from your own scrolling and usage of TikTok, do you start to just recognize that there's people where they just have their thing? They have their thing where
100%.
every time they go on. A perfect example is I think it's Cabby. He goes by. He's like the second largest creator on TikTok, and all he does is shows a video, and he's just there like
Yep.
just being like, "This is silly," and he's become the second largest creator, and he uh, it's a lot like that on ads where the people start to like recognize your brand for like that specific thing, and also there's a specific thing that resonates with people, and he found that like that's the thing. um, on ads we could see that it's like delaying. It's like the structure of the ad of delaying, where you don't show the product in the first 75%, and then the last 25% you make it feel like an organic reveal of this thing, and trying to find audios uh, that match that structure. And that's an example of a structure where, there's still a lot of creativity that you can put into it, but finding an element like that and going, okay, how can we make the first 75% just trying to reel people in and getting them invested because they have to wait to the end to see, and then dropping the bomb to show the product and the sales point, the CTA, towards the end and make it feel organic.
Nice. Yeah, I like that analogy just to regular creators. I follow a lot of creators where it's like, and then as soon as they try to make a video that's like another style, they're like, do the thing, do the other thing that we want you to do. And
Yeah.
I guess you got to make sure you don't get pigeonholed. But if you can, and it's, you're going to have multiple things, I guess, because of the, the level of iteration that's required to keep this up. You'll find new things. Things will burn out, and you'll find new things. Like, I think that's something I always like to check in on. Because it's something we're seeing on the paid side is just like the burnout rate on TikTok appears to be higher than it is on Facebook. Would you agree with that, Angela?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like riding these waves of trends. You definitely need to like keep iterating, because the whole thing that's happening on TikTok is people are constantly like copying each other. It's just there's so many people like jumping on the trend. So you constantly have to be like working with content creators that can hopefully come up with like the next big thing. The goal is obviously that the content creators you work with come up with the next big trend. But I think that's like what I mentioned about like using stitches, like sort of, creating this like two-way conversation with like two different content creators is cool. There's definitely like aspects of videos you need to have that will make it a better chance of success. But on the overall like trends, styles, I think it's just like about catching these waves.
Do TikTok made me buy it ads still work? Because it's the ad that I probably see most common, and it's the most easily recognizable as an ad as a TikTok user. Do those ads still work? Do we still test them?
Still working on my end. I just recorded one myself, just trying to get a nice and scrappy right before this call. So maybe I'll run that ad and I'll let you know how that one, like if it's still working.
I love it. Yeah, TikTok made me buy it. And I think that idea of the delayed reveal is smart, just because people are always on the lookout for whether everything is an ad or not. And so if you can hook them in with the narrative and with the story and with the sound ahead of the product reveal, then they're going to be more invested when it comes time to drop the old hammer.
And that's another part that I think is like important to work with experienced content creators and like these super creative people. Like I see content where one creator is basically like playing two different roles in almost like this play that they're doing. And like, you want to watch, like you're on TikTok to be entertained and to be able to work with people that are like making this super engaging content. And you don't even know it's an ad until 75% through. That's like pretty engaging, interesting stuff.
These days, it's expensive to get shoppers to your store. So when they do show up, you want to make the most of each order. Thankfully, there's Aftersell Post-Purchase Upsell, the most popular upsell app on Shopify. With Aftersell, you can create targeted on-brand post-purchase offers that maximize your AOV. Trusted by over 6,000 merchants, including hundreds of Shopify Plus stores like Brewmate, True Classic Teas, and Good American, Aftersell has generated over $50 million in revenue for their merchants. We've partnered with Aftersell to create a special offer for DTC listeners. Visit aftersell.com/DTC for a 10% off lifetime subscription to Aftersell and white glove support for Plus merchants. On top of that, there's a 30-day free trial, so there's zero risk to installing. That's aftersell.com/DTC. I actually just jumped off a podcast with Youthforia, and Youthforia is the first TikTok digitally native brand that I've met where their only top of funnel is actually organic TikTok. And the founder and CEO, she is also the lead content creator, and she creates these makeup tutorials that just drive sales kind of year round organically. The weird thing that she mentioned was that when she actually, and I think it's early days, and I'll try to get her to chat with you, Spencer, but she was saying that when she ran paid ads, it actually negatively impacted her organic reach, which I thought was interesting. Does that make sense?
It's tough to say. I've tried to figure that out myself a little bit, try to chat with people and see if they can understand the black box that is TikTok. From what I can see and have seen, it could just be that the newer stuff just isn't landing. I haven't really seen any connection where the content that you run in ads affects the new content that you run on organic. That's if they're separate content. TikTok doesn't want you to be reposting the same thing over and over, and just they want fresh stuff, and that is the same if you post something to organic and you rip that exact same video, post it as an ad independent of that first one, and be like, oh, this is a net new ad creative, and TikTok just goes, nope, that's the same. On organic, I have heard that it can negatively impact the delivery.
Interesting. Angela, I wanted to ask so one of the things that I find on TikTok is just the hit rate of people responding to messages. Trying to track people down through their Instagram handles, through their websites. The hit rate of actually getting responses through this whole network has been rough for me, just in people that I'm trying to connect with. What brands out there have it on easy street? Like, what are the brands that these creators really want to work with the most?
I think the brands and the products that creators are like actively looking to work with they're the products that these creators think they're going to have the most engagement with. They're the products that are going to be super eye-catching, that people are going to have an easy impulse purchase with, and just like products or brands that they can like tell a story with and make engaging content. Especially like influencers. If you're working with influencers, they want it to be eye-catching impulse purchase, so they can make that commission off it. I think those are probably like the most two important things. Also, like, it's going to be hard to be creating these quick, punchy clips if you have to really explain what the product does. So anything that can sort of be like easily conceptualized by looking at the product and doing like a quick product demo, that's probably going to get a much better response rate than products that are maybe like a bit more confusing or technical.
Nice. You're seeing that as well, Spencer?
Yep, definitely.
Nice. So one of the things that I'm interested in is just figuring out, because I feel there's so many efforts in this space to build networks of creators, right? Whether it's all the different agencies out there that specialize in the different platforms. I've seen ones that are on the blockchain and all these types of things. Like, one of the things I'm interested is I want to start having more like conversations with creators, and I want to understand, like, what do creators really want? I think, Angela, is my question for you. Like, what did they are they so focused on what they're creating that the ad stuff is kind of a bit more of an afterthought? But like, what can happen in this space to like really get creators excited about things?
I think like they're excited about whatever content they think is going to get them the most engagement. Like, anyone has the potential of joining TikTok and becoming like a huge TikTok success in a short amount of time. So like the barrier to entry is very low. They don't have to be necessarily an influencer. They don't have to be an expert in their field or like super accomplished in a certain area. I think anyone has the potential to be like just a very creative person that comes in there and like blows up. So in terms of like what brands do TikTok creators want to work with, anything that can like help them get there, anything that's going to like inspire their content basically.
Yeah. And I guess especially anything that'll also lend its own fame, right? Like if you're Coca-Cola or something, as an influencer, you don't want to work with them obviously because they're 1,000 times bigger than you. Angela, what are you doing as the UGC, as the head of UGC, to like stay in accounts, like to stay ahead of these trends, to stay on style with the UGC that you coordinate, that you bring in?
We're just constantly like looking at TikTok. Like, I think it would be embarrassing
Just like the
to,
rest of us.
I think it would be embarrassing to like check our screen time or like time on app with the people in my team. But like, you know, people in my team are content creators themselves. Like, you just got to keep up. Basically, things are moving so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's neat about TikTok too is it's like it is the progenitor platform. It's the platform where the content is made, where it's first distributed. And then, Reels has this sort of second runner category a little bit, where it's like you create you create the content for TikTok, and then you also can repurpose on Reels just to kind of increase your distribution. But people usually make it with TikTok first in mind. Is that's pretty correct? And usually in the builder quite often.
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting things. And that's what we have sort of been working with our brands on, making sure that we can use that content for the double purpose. Brands are just going to get like the most bang for their buck that way. So we always try to plan it so that it's going to be used in both places like that.
I wanted to just ask it as a final one, like, what are you meeting any resistance from brands? Like when you're, talking to them about testing TikTok, are you meeting brands that are still sort of saying, oh, I don't think it's for us, no one really buys on TikTok? Are you seeing those kind of objections come up?
Yeah, people are just skeptical, very fairly so. There's success stories and there's failures. A lot of the time, there's brands that come to us and they say, "Hey, we've given it a go ourselves. We try to do it in-house. We didn't see any results, but we see that Podhouse is having success. How are you guys doing it? And like, is that something that's replicable?" And you know, it just comes down to experience on the platform, understanding it. It's definitely trickier to just jump on and plug and play. So we definitely have questions there, and we try and set them up as best we can for success. And a lot of that just comes with like reassurance to the brand, and then setting up proper sources of content. And that's if the brand has it themselves, then that's fantastic. And if not, we start speak with Angela and see if we can do a partnership with TikTok and UGC.
The only resistance we get on working with brands on the like content and creator side is, I think brands are always curious about working on TikTok, but they're super used to working on planning their content long in advance, having it go through multiple layers of brand approval, having it meet these branded guidelines. And I think that we're trying to convince brands to just be a bit more agile, have a bit more faith in the creators, and just be like basically a bit more like playful with this content than they're used to being. That's really the only resistance, but I think that brands are sort of realizing they're going to have to be a bit more, they're going to have to loosen the reins on brand a little bit.
Nice. Can we get a little geeky here at the end, Spencer? I just wanted to ask, one of my friends is Maxwell Finn. He's become sort of a TikTok ads influencer. And he's sort of putting out different ideas about campaign structure. I was just sort of wondering, like, what do we have a tried and true campaign structure? Do we, and how much does it differ from the campaign structure that we run for Facebook ads, for instance?
We definitely have a go-to structure, and the targeting has been a lever that we pull. The media buyers are always trying to squeeze the most out of the content that we do have. Broad testing is definitely shown to be the most consistent for us. Unlike Facebook, and it's really something that we're trying to continue to test. Unlike Facebook, we've found that the little subcategories of audiences, say like, apparel and jewelry, that one might be a little bit broad, and that one might be a bit more consistent. But once we dive down to like some of the smaller ones, we can have some campaigns that just like blow up and they show like so much success. And on Facebook, we might be like, well, we have a winner audience that hits our right demographic. On TikTok, it hasn't been as consistent for us. We've tried to plug that into multiple different campaigns, and it's almost like users are shifting around these audiences so much that it's just inconsistent in that front. So we like to go CBO. We like to go a little bit broader, still test pretty broad, even just within the targeting, and breaking out some like mid-size audiences within it. And then once we find success on that, then we can start going outwards, maybe going way broader, do another campaign and go way more narrow. But it's all starting with that tried and true basic in the middle. And that's what's been the most consistent for us.
And how many pieces of creative are we testing generally when we're launching these campaigns?
I've spoken with people that say it's quite a range. Some go, no more than 3. Others say, let's go up to like 15 per ad group. And I think it depends on the budget. If you could test 15 within an ad group and have 5, 10 different ad groups to test, you better have a $10,000 a day budget to get that tested, to then find those winners. I'd say that you could probably really, really go comfortably between 3 and 6 creative and try to get as much contrast within those creative, opposed to doing slight changes of them and hitting like 15 styles. Because like we've talked about, the creative fatigue is so heavy that getting 10 new, like totally new ideas, new creators, ideas a week, it's very laborsome if you only find one winner of that, or maybe not find a winner at all. So yeah.
What are the leading indicators that we use do we just go right? Is it just like Facebook where you go right to purchase and you're focused only on purchases, or are we focused on a series of leading indicators before purchases in order to get an idea of which ads are working?
Purchases are great. Love to see them come in. And we've kind of just, from running so much traffic, like have an idea that, okay, on platform, which would be, virtually single session, that the attribution model would be, if we're seeing maybe a bad ROAS there, we know because of how much traffic we've run and because we have so much data on Google Analytics and with our third-party data partners, that we're going to see lift outside of that single session. So as long as we are pushing the add to carts, we're seeing our great issue checkouts all the way down the list. Those are the indicators that we mainly look at, and then we know that we can extrapolate it out for what we could assume, or what we are seeing the growth be outside of that single session on platform revenue and purchases come through.
Nice. Okay, speaking of third-party data partners, I've actually got a meeting with Northbeam right now, so I've got to bounce. But if people want to work with the TikTok team, they want to work with the UGC team, you know where to go: pilothouse.co, fill out a form, and jump on board, and we'll help scale you on TikTok and UGC. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're not getting the D2C newsletter, you can subscribe for free at directtoconsumer.co. And if you want to learn more about Pilot House's all-killer, no-filler services, take off to pilothouse.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.